and gentlemen. How are you tonight? All right. My name is Cindy Rule, and I am proud to be here representing the League of Women Voters, the NAACP Pomona Valley, and the Latina Roundtable. We are happy to host this candidates forum. Before we get started, tonight, I want you to know that, ladies and gentlemen, tonight's forum is being recorded. The League of Women Voters, the NAACP Pomona Valley, and the Latina Roundtable will not be responsible for the content of this recording. We have requested that the entire forum be recorded and shown without any editing to the content. I have been assured by our videographers that that will be the case. That being said, the League of Women Voters, the NAACP, do not support or oppose any candidate, nor do we support or oppose any political party. Everybody get settled in. I want to advise you that Spanish translation is available, and Melissa, would you announce that in Spanish?
Tenemos traducción en español si alguien necesita. Está atrás con la señora Carmen.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's begin by saluting our flag. If you would all please stand and join me. Ready, begins. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now, if you have not already done so, please take those cell phones and silence them, and please put them in your purses and your pockets and leave them there. Because don't these 11 candidates deserve our undivided attention for the next two hours? I think they do. Put those phones in your purses and let's keep them there. Next announcement, we all need to know where the bathrooms are. They're in the back to the right and to the left. Exit straight to the back. Okay, before I explain tonight's forum rules, I would like to explain my goals for this forum tonight. I want this to be a discussion of the issues facing Pomona, not the personalities. That being said, we will require the cooperation of everyone in this room, the audience as well as the candidates. Candidates, here is what I am looking for from you. I want you to discuss what you would do, not what you think your opponent will do. Your opponent has the right to speak for themselves. I expect you to respect one another, just like I expect everyone to respect me up here at the dais, or the audience. Audience, there are 11 people up here that have taken the courage, had the courage to run for office in your community. That takes courage. That automatically earns our respect, and we will treat them respectfully. I expect everyone in this room to act with grace and dignity. There are no political agendas from the audience, and I personally want to hear what every single candidate has to say. I know you're excited about the candidate that you support, and you want to yell and applaud and say, go, go. But with our limited time frame, and we're trying to do a Spanish translation, we must try very, very hard to be as quiet as possible. Finally tonight, I want to just thank you all for being here. We're going to have a great forum. We're going to cover the issues and just get those cards in so that we can get a lot of questions up to our candidates. With our time frame, we won't be able to ask all of your questions, and I apologize in advance for that, but we'll get to as many different issues. My goal is to get to as many different issues as possible tonight. Now let me explain tonight's format. Each candidate is going to be giving an opening statement for 2 minutes. The order that the candidates are sitting on the dais is the way that they are listed on your ballot. Candidates, can you see Eva, and keep an eye on the timekeeper? She's going to be in charge. Eva Weiss is the Pomona City Clerk, and she will be using the Pomona City timing equipment for us. After the 2-minute opening statements, we will begin our question and answer period. The questions that you are asking must pertain to the entire panel. They do not go to individuals, they do not go to individual districts. We will funnel our questions up to our sorters, who will make sure that the questions are appropriate for our venue. For example, that they cover local issues, not national issues, that they are not of a personal nature, and that they are appropriate for the entire panel to answer. Our sorters tonight are Ona Tate from the NAACP, Ben Wood from the Latina Roundtable, and Ruth Curry from the League of Women Voters. And tonight's representatives, and I just lost Jeanette Royston from the NAACP and Jose Calderon from the Latina Roundtable. They are here co-sponsoring with me. A round of applause for them. At the end of the question and answer period, which will be about 8:30-ish, each candidate is going to have one more chance to speak to you about why you should elect them, and they will each have a 1-minute closing statement. That's it. Are we ready to go? Yes. All right. I am proud to introduce you to your candidates for mayor and the 3 districts, 1, 4, and 6. Candidates, when I call your name, if you would please remain standing, and audience, please hold your applause until everyone has been introduced. Okay, we'll start with Tim Sandoval, mayor. Elliot Rothman for mayor. Hector Clavado, District 1. Ishmael Arias, District 1. Rubio Ramirez Gonzalez, District 1. Elizabeth Ontiveros Cole, District 4. Remington Allen Cordova, District 4. Paula Lance, District 4. Okay, George, here it goes. George Okekenweje, District 6. Robert Torres and Deborah Martin. That's going to be the only time you're going to hear me try to pronounce his name. It's going to be George Sullivan. All right, candidates, ladies and gentlemen, are we proud of it? Have a seat, candidates. Let's begin with those opening statements. Eva, are you ready? Candidates, are you ready? Okay, let's begin. Tim will begin with his 2-minute opening statement. Tim Sandoval. We got a mic problem. Little equipment failure to start out the evening.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Good evening, Pomona residents. Before I give you my short intro, I just want to express my thanks to the NAACP, the Latino Roundtable, and also the League of Women Voters. I am a product of Pomona. I grew up in our city. I attended our public schools before I graduated from UC Riverside. And I've always appreciated the richness and diversity of our city. And as I look forward, I see tremendous potential in our community. As an educator and college access entrepreneur for the past 20 years, I've worked to help our young people from the city of Pomona go to and graduate from college. As a civic leader and community leader, I'm on the board of the Pomona Library Foundation to help to bring a tutoring program to our library, as well as a summer cultural excursion program. Also, I serve as the chair of the Waste and Recycling Task Force in order to bring higher standards to our waste and recycling businesses. I've been doing this for the last 20 years, and I see tremendous potential in our community. But as I go around and I talk to residents, and I've been doing this for the past year, people see hope, they see possibility, but they also have concerns. They have concerns about the homelessness issue, they have concerns about crime, about the safety of our parks, about our streets, our alleyways. And what is clear to me as we move forward in our great city is that there's an absence of leadership. There's an absolute absence of leadership. And what people are looking for is they're looking for honesty. They're looking for integrity. They're looking for a mayor who, when we're faced with challenges, gets out in front of those challenges and owns them and communicates with the residents of Pomona. And I will assure you, if elected, I will be that mayor. A mayor that listens and works together to solve the problems that we face in the community.
Thank you, Tim. Elliot Rothman. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to try to keep our enthusiasm a little bit lower so we can get through all the candidates as quickly as possible. Mr. Rothman, please.
I would like to welcome everybody here to the Pomona City Council chambers. I would like to thank the participants of tonight's forum, my colleagues, and those that are seeking office, the co-sponsors, the NAACP, who just held the event that the Daily Bulletin covered, Police and Locals Build Bridges, where residents and law enforcement met for the Truth and Reconciliation Program to work on communicating better. Also co-hosting is the Latino and Latina Roundtable, who have been extremely instrumental in our community and in our region. And of course, the League of Women Voters, who have been moderating forums, voter drives, for years and years. And of course, you, the people of Pomona, together with the co-sponsors, building bridges through this open dialogue. It is my honor to represent you as Mayor of Pomona. Under my leadership, safety has increased, new businesses have arrived, thousands of jobs have been created, and the city's infrastructure and civic pride continues to improve. As mayor, I will always be accessible, and I will continue representing your interests in the beautiful city of Pomona.
Well, can I call you Tony? Do you want to be called Hector or do you want to be called Tony?
You can call me Hector Tony.
Hector Tony, okay. Then we've got Hector Tony Clamato next.
I've been part of this community for 27 years. I was educated here in Pomona. I attended Royal Marshall Middle School, Ganesha High School, and even chose to go to Cal Poly where I earned my degree, my bachelor's degree in chemical engineering. I grew up in a very humble community, a community that faced a lot of adversities and a lot of the problems that we still see today. And I like to think myself as just one example of the positive impact that a community can have on a person's life despite their adversities and challenges. Which is why I value our community, and which is why as a city council member I will continue to support our community engagement and programs, right? And I have visions for our community and ways to improve our infrastructure and our streets and roadways and improve some of the community programs and continue to fund those things. But while we all have our visions, and I have visions of my own, I think that one thing that we can all relate with and we must address is that our city we need to address our financial situation, right? In order to make these visions possible, we must improve our local economy. We must increase our revenue, which is why as a city council member, I've done my research, and I want to coordinate and help this joint effort to implement a Pomona high-tech campaign. A campaign that's designed to attract startup tech companies that will be able to increase the revenue for years to come. And I'm not just presenting this unique idea, it's an idea that's been implemented by other successful cities, and I've identified the key steps that the city must take in order for us to be prepared and ready to change our local economy. I'm Hector Tony Cabello, and I'm running for Hector Tony Cabello, running for District 1. Thank you.
Ishmael Arias, please.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ismael Arias. Many of you know me as Ish, or perhaps even the UPS guy. I'm a candidate for Pomona City Council District 1. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the NAACP, the League of Women Voters, and the Latino and Latina Roundtable for hosting this forum. Each resident this evening is given the opportunity to firsthand hear the goals of each candidate and how we intend to serve as a city council member. I am a lifelong resident of Pomona, as well as a product of the Pomona Unified School District. for the past 6 years, I've been the chair of the community event in the city of Pomona, the Pomona Christmas Parade. That has included some of the duties of planning, coordinating, and executing all aspects of the event. I am also a proud board member of Fiscal, a youth organization that focuses on keeping kids off the street and inside the gym. I am also the incoming vice president of the Kiwanis Club of Pomona, an organization that focuses on serving youth throughout the city on a continuous basis. Last but not least, I am the vice chair of the Pomona Planning Commission. As a planning commissioner, I have the responsibility to advise and assist the council on matters involving major development projects in the city. I have the experience. I believe I am the best qualified to assume the seat for Council District 1. With that said, I hope that by the end of this evening, I gain the support and confidence of District 1 voters. Thank you.
Mr. Rubio Romero Gonzalez.
To reiterate what my colleagues have said, welcome you all. Also want to thank NAACP, the LRT, Legal Women Voters. Thank you all for putting this together. Thank you all for coming here to listen to us. I am a Historic Preservation Commissioner in the City of Pomona for District 1. And I'm running primarily because I feel like obviously we wouldn't be running if we didn't feel we're the most qualified, but I've spent 36 years in the district. My aunt went to Ganesha High School. I went to Ganesha High School. My son's going to Ganesha High School. I'm part of the Ganesha School Site Council. The reason that school looks so nice is I was one of the people that helped push it in that direction. I'm involved at Arroyo Elementary School as a parent lead, part of the PTO. I think as a parent you have to be involved in your children's lives. I grew up in Pomona in the 80s. If any of you remember the 80s, it was not a good time for Pomona. Some of my peers didn't make it. I did. Not only did I make it, I went on to get my bachelor's at Cal Poly, then a master's at Fullerton, and right now I'm finishing up a teaching credential and a second master's at University of Laverne. No matter, before I've already gone with this, but I want to make sure that I point it out. My lovely wife, Lorena, in the back. If you guys, most of you already know her. She has some of my campaign materials. If anybody has any questions, you can also go to www.welcometopomona.com. I sit on about 9 different community boards, and it's all volunteer service. 23 years of volunteering thousands of hours, and I figure if you actually allow me to work with a budget, I'll be able to do a lot more than what I've already been doing in the community. Platform is simple, spread the wealth. Most of what is left of the budget is in downtown. I'm going to spend it the rest of the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Elizabeth Ontiveros Cole, please.
Excuse me. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the opportunity and the privilege to be here tonight. Bienvenidos, la gente de Pomona. My name is Elizabeth Ontiveros Cole. I was born and raised in Pomona, attended Pomona Unified Schools, and I was a graduate of Garey High. Throughout the journey of my life, I have seen the glorious days of Pomona, and at one time it was labeled the jewel of the Southern California area. Pomona was the envy of surrounding cities throughout California. Why? Because they wanted to imitate the beauty and the businesses that were flourishing in our city. But over the years, the conditions of Pomona deteriorated. The businesses began to disappear, creating another vacant building for us to view. As time went on, the homeless became apparent in our city streets. And the lack of beautification.
So kind of lower the mics just a little
Okay.
bit. That should take care of the feedback.
That's possible.
That's what okay, let's back that up and see what happens.
I'm sorry.
So makes the telephone. Is there a cell phone right there somewhere?
Let's Okay, I'm sorry, we still got that feedback, do you have any idea? I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen.
Turn yours off.
Fix that phone.
Turn yours off, let's see.
Mine, okay.
If there's a phone right there, that might cause it. Yeah. If there's a phone on right around there, it would cause it. Okay.
Okay, we're gonna let Elizabeth start.
No, actually, I stopped when she started getting the feedback.
Do you know where you are in your speech?
Sure.
Thank you, sorry, Eileen.
It's quite all right. So the lack of the beautification and the unimproved streets, dirty alleyways, and neglected neighborhoods were very apparent. My campaign agenda is very simple. The campaign agenda that I have is the citizens' campaign agenda. I'm worried about this, I'm sorry.
So am I. Are you sure that that thing is not finished? Okay, does everyone have their phones put away up on the dais?
Could we allow her to use someone else's mic so that she doesn't have that problem and give her a new chance to start?
I definitely think we need to give her a new chance to start.
Elizabeth, you can use my slide.
Oh.
You want her to start?
Yes, let her go. Her speech has been very much interrupted, and we want to hear what she has to say. Yes, she's going to start over.
She didn't have anything to do with it, we had no trouble with it the other night at the city council meeting. Okay.
Okay, Elizabeth, thank
Do you
you.
mind if I just continue on? Well, if I could have the 2 minutes, that would be fine.
If you want to, it's up to you. You've been the one who's been disrupted, so if you want to start over, I'm willing to let you do your whole speech over.
Well, I can continue on with the extra 2 minutes.
I started the.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yes. I will. Thank you, sir. So my campaign agenda is the Pomona residents' agenda. I do not consider myself a political figure. I consider myself a resident first. But as a Pomona resident, I also have the concerns as my constituents. As your council member for District 4, I will combine community engagement with my goals for Pomona so that the residents have a clear concept where everything is concerned for them, that they will have a clear concept where everything that we are using for, excuse me, now I'm a little nervous. I'm so sorry. Again,
We are all here with you, and we want you to succeed, so take a deep breath.
okay. My vision for Pomona is to be comparable to our surrounding cities, such as Latino, Diamond Bar, Claremont, and Laverne. And that means clean corridors, attractive corridors, and the issue of the homeless needs to be remedied. My plans for the homeless is to collaborate with others, including my city council peers, for a second chance in their life, creating emergency shelters and transitional housing can remedy this problem. It will take hard work, but it's not impossible. In Pasadena, California, who had the homeless problem in such an ill manner, we can also succeed. If we can transfer their knowledge and master it here, then we will be able to utilize their success. Thank you.
I'm used to sitting in that chair, and the microphone and I have been going at it for years. Why don't I switch with Elizabeth Lieber here?
Well, except that the mayor, the mayoral candidates are to be next to each other. I'm sorry, but we'll both need to be down there together.
Yes, good luck.
So I'm sorry that we're gonna do that, but the mayoral
I'm fine,
candidates
we're not
are to be
using
next
it.
to each other. Okay, I know Okay, thank you. And I know this is complicated. We've got a lot of people on this dais, and sharing microphones isn't ideal, but this was the only way we could get all of you in one room to address all of Pomona. So I apologize to the audience. I apologize to you candidates, but we're just trying to do the best we can with what we're working with. Thank you very much. Remington and Allen Cordova.
Hi. So I'd too like to start by thanking the League of Women Voters, the NAACP, and the Latino Roundtable for hosting this fair and respectful forum. My name is Remington Cordova, and I'm running not just to be your District 4 councilman, but a representative of our city in the region and the state. As a child who grew up at a time when Pomona definitely was not the place that you wanted to live. It was a city with many more things to fear and avoid than there were to embrace and be proud of. I didn't always have the best relationship with my city. And I would ask my parents, you know, why did we choose to stay? And each time they would respond with, what would Pomona be if all the good, caring people left? And that includes us up on this podium, and that includes you guys in the audience. So that's the sentiment that's driving this campaign. I'm a recent graduate of the University of Alberta. As you guys can tell, I'm also a relatively young candidate as well. So as a lifelong resident, a member of a family that's called Pomona home for more than half a century, and as a candidate that has walked through all of our district's neighborhoods, who has learned from the entirety of everybody's Pomona experience, not just the people that live in my neighborhood or Lincoln Park, but the people who live all the way over on Mills Avenue as well. The one common thread that unites us all is the perception that there is selective representation on our city council, and that all of our voices are not being heard. So for far too many of Pomona's good, caring people, we feel that we're on our own. And I'm coming to you as a partner, not just a disconnected council member or a politician. I want to be your partner in the community. I don't claim to know all the answers, but I can answer you with what should be done and what can be done, and not what isn't being done, and ignoring those who aren't from my district. So basically, I want to empower the residents, restore their voices to the political process through proactive leadership that transforms your representation from a body of complacency and reaction to the one that drives your success in your neighborhood.
Ms. Paula Lance.
Hello, I'm Paula Lance, and I'm running for re-election as a council member from District 4. I'm a lifelong resident of Pomona, as many are up here. I graduated from Pomona High School, Pomona College, and Claremont Graduate School with a master's degree in teaching disadvantaged children, and I still work very closely with the schools. I also recognize the importance of regional cooperation in order to address issues that are not unique to Pomona. And I'm involved in many regional organizations, including the boards of Foothill Transit and Tri-City Mental Health. Since change is the watchword of elections, you need to know about some great changes that I've been a part of over the last few years. Several major streets are being repaved this year, and ADA ramps and bicycle lanes are part of those projects. Abandoned car dealerships have been replaced by thriving shopping centers, including Target, Ross, several other shops and restaurants. South Garey had beautiful medians, but the sidewalks were damaged by trees, and now those trees have been replaced, the roads have been repaired, and the sidewalks have been widened so that families can walk to the grocery store, to schools, and to the new health clinic that's nearby. North Garey is also getting a major makeover with new medians, street trees, landscaping, and improved pedestrian safety at many of the intersections. And when the library was slated to close, I created a library task force, including business people and residents, that work together to keep that from happening. Of course, Pomona has its problems too, and homelessness is certainly one of them. I visited many shelters to see what others are doing to get folks off the streets and into housing. In fact, I hope many of you will join us at a meeting on this very subject Monday night at 7 at the Ganesha Community Center. I'm a council member that listens to residents and responds promptly to their concerns, and I ask for your support so that I can continue doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. George? Okay, Ken, wedge A. Yes, thank you.
Greetings everyone. My name is George Okekenweje. I'm 7 years resident of Pomona. I want to start with these questions. Why should the city of Pomona have 17 rehabilitation centers, while a city like Claremont and other surrounding cities have 1 or 2? And the funniest thing is this: all these rehab centers in the middle of residential areas and commercial areas. The effect of it is seen by everyone. Businesses are moving out of Pomona because of this. How can you have a rehab in the midst of places where people are living, in the midst of businesses? These are causing a lot of businesses good paying jobs to leave the city of Pomona. I ask this question: why should this be happening? But no answer. Another one is this: why should the city of Pomona allow all those rehabs, inviting other homeless people from other cities? Most of all these homeless people are veterans. And all of us here, we are aware that every city receives money to take care of their veterans. Why should Pomona be taking care of all those things? Now, the city are diverting the money to use to clean the streets, go to the alleys. The money that's supposed to take care of the citizens are going to other things unnecessarily. Thank you.
Mr. Robert Torres?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I feel like I need a boosted chair for this group here. It's not small, but thank you very much to the NAACP, the Latina Roundtable, for hosting this wonderful event and allowing me to showcase my plan for the city of Pomona. My name is Robert Torres. I'm a 30-year resident of the city of Pomona. I've attended Pomona schools. I graduated from Cal Poly Pomona with a degree in business administration. I currently serve as the district director for our assembly member, Freddie Rodriguez, where I help provide vital state resources to people in our area. I'm running for city council because we need a leader who will listen and stand up for our community. That is what I'm going to do, just like I did as a planning commissioner, as a vehicle parking commissioner, and as a local neighborhood watch leader. Perhaps my greatest attributes and assets are my strong relationships with federal and state officials, who I plan to bring in and work with to help solve the many issues that are facing the city of Pomona. As a legislative staff member, I've worked on a number of different items of legislation, such as renaming the 10 freeway after fallen officer Sean Diamond, such as giving Pomona the first right to purchase the armory over the county, and to bring good paying jobs to the city and the area by helping work on legislation that will bring the Metro Gold Line and Ontario Airport to our region. As your next city council member, I will be accountable to you. City Hall doesn't work for us anymore, but it works just fine for the high-paid CEOs, big developers, and the people who donate hundreds of dollars in campaign contributions, fair tickets, drag race tickets, wine bottles, boxes of chocolates to our current council member to lobby for her vote. None of these issues will be solved by Pomona by itself. We will need to work together to help address these issues. And with your help, that is the type of representation I will bring. Thank you very much. I'd be honored to have your support.
Ms. Deborah Martin?
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the city of Pomona. And I want to thank all the hosts today for making this event happen. It's beautiful. It's over successful because not everybody can come in and sit down and watch. And I apologize that there's not enough seating. Anyhow, my name is Deborah Martin, and as a proud Pomona resident for over 31 years, it has been an honor to serve our city as your current council member and as your former Cultural Arts Commissioner, VPD Commissioner, and Charter Review Commissioner. That is over 14 years of service. I am so honored to have met all of you, almost everybody in this room, I know, because all of you are working for our community through different volunteer efforts. And I want to thank everyone in this room for all the time and effort all of you have given for the city of Pomona, because not just myself, I love Pomona. I know all of you love Pomona and you want to see it go in the direction that I do. With that said, I'd like to just share a few things that I'm proud that I have worked on together with our council and other community partners. The most exciting thing is that we brought in 1,700 new jobs in the city of Pomona in the past 3.5 years, with $500 million worth of new development. I think that says a lot, that people are hearing a new rumor that Pomona is a place for a destination and to work, live, and play. I've been blessed to be part of so many volunteers that has organized to clean up our parks. So many that, wow, it's
2 minutes already, I know, it goes fast. Okay, candidates, this is the time where you're going to hear the questions that your constituents want you to answer for them. Are you ready, candidates? We're going to start with Tim Sandoval, and we'll put the first question and work our way down to Debbie Martin. You'll have each answer the same question, because we do have a long line here. Don't hesitate to ask me to repeat it if they've forgotten what it is by the time it gets to you. And you're each going to have 1 minute to respond. All right, first question, and this came from the internet, and it's about policing. Police reform research has concluded that community policing and civilian oversight of the police department has resulted in building trust between the police department and the community. Will you support police reform by supporting a civilian police oversight committee?
That's an absolutely great question. Before I support any oversight, I would want to know the exact details of what the oversight committee would do. I believe that when you look at our police force, we are down 50 police officers since my opponent took office. And I think that if we're going to critique our police officers, we have to see them in the context of the conditions in which they're working. But before I make any decision about whether there's an oversight committee, I would need to look at what the research shows, what the detail shows. But at the end of the day, I believe our police, like any other organization in the city of Pomona, should be held accountable. And that's what I'm committed to.
Thank you. Mr. Rothman?
Thank you. I didn't get your name, by the way.
My name is Cindy.
Thank you, Cindy. It's better to ask than it is to guess. We've been doing pretty good without the oversight boards. However, the different cities and different states have been looking into them. And it would definitely be something worth looking into. But I think at this time, as the Pomona Police Department are out there every day on the street, working to protect the people of the city of Pomona, I would hope that the policing that they do and those that are on the receiving end of that would be the oversight right now that we need so we get the city cleaned up better. It looks to me like the NAACP event that I was referring to in my opening remarks have begun the bridge building that we need between the community and the police department. And I wish that that would continue on, Cindy. Thank you, City Clerk.
My answer is short and simple. I think I agree with Tim Sandoval and Con along the lines with Mayor Rothman. I think that I would be open to the possibility of having an oversight committee, but of course, it would have to be only making a decision after we fully understand the repercussions of doing that, and having a joint effort with the police department as well to understand what are the challenges that they are facing, or what are the challenges that may be imposed by doing so. And also understanding some of the details as to the concerns of the citizens in which the police department is functioning. And it's only until then that we can really just make a knowledgeable decision on that behalf.
Ishmael?
Yeah, I would like to, well, obviously, make sure what the jurisdiction of this oversight board, would be. Obviously, I mean, it would have to be an informed decision before we establish a commission, if that, okay? Also, we want to make sure that our police department is, has all the resources it needs before we even consider establishing a commission to enforce, their policies and regulations. So it would have to be an informed decision on what regulations this commission would have to take place. And before that even happens, I would like to see that we give our police department all the additional resources that they need to do their job efficiently, first and foremost.
Mr. Gonzalez?
I go along the lines of Mr. Sandoval and Mr. Fredo were saying. Basically, we need to be progressive, not reactive. And we don't want to get caught up with the national trend of what's happening throughout the country as far as relation between PD and people of color. So it wouldn't hurt to have an oversight panel, a civilian oversight panel. But of course, bring PD to the table and community leaders, and look to make sure that we understand the stress that our officers are under, to make sure that code enforcement is doing what they need to do to assist police so they can focus on the stuff that they were really trained for, not panhandling and loitering issues. They were trained for much, much more serious things, but we need to relieve them that way.
Ms. Hall? Ms. Hall? Great to answer. It doesn't sound like a very unusual request, but I think we need to focus a little bit more on our police department. We have 53 less percentage on the average of another California city. We only have 1.7 police officers per 1,000 residents in the city of Pomona. I feel that we need to focus on our police officers first. I think we're very short on the police officer force. I feel that they need to be given the opportunity to be able to be more in tune with the public. I feel that if we Mr. Cordova.
Yes, I was actually approached by a constituent about the same question. And basically I answered him, I would be a little bit cautious about the powers and the role that that committee would play. I would be open to establishing one, but I would also like to see what precedents they're citing as to why we need one. I haven't seen too many instances that would justify maybe an oversight committee, but I would be open to a committee that bridges the gap, like some of the other candidates have said, that maybe creates dialogue. So maybe more of a community-centered approach, maybe grassroots, that creates more dialogue.
Ms. Lance.
Well, I think Mr. Cordova and I are on the same page on that one. I definitely believe in community involvement. I did attend the Truth and Reconciliation event last night, I guess it was, where we had 8 different police chiefs and the sheriff's department attending. And the idea of a police oversight board was mentioned. Several were very open to civilian involvement, but oversight of civilians over police responsibility was something they really need to consider. The gentleman from Claremont mentioned that they did have one formed many years ago, but it is an advisory board, not an oversight board. And it bridges the gap between the community and the police department when it's appropriate.
I'm not gonna push my luck, so George.
Yeah, as a justice administration measure, degree, community policing is the best. There's no policing without community. I have had a lot of people who told me how many times they have called the police and no response. Some of them said before they come in, everything has already happened. They have called police in some of the things, events, or some of the things that I've seen on the streets. So I believe that there's a lot of work to be done, to bridge that gap between the police and the community. So, that's all.
Mr. Torres.
I think that anytime you give the people of Pomona a say in the government process is a good thing, so long as council has could oversee this matter and our police have a say in it. Because our current system is just not working. Pomona is the 8th most dangerous city in the state of California and one of the few cities that invest serious money in their police. And if you look at what some of the other surrounding cities have done, Chino, Ontario, they've taken their redevelopment dollars and converted former Home Depots and Petcos to police stations. But unlike those other cities, the city of Pomona has taken over $10 million of our redevelopment dollars and given it to the wealthy nonprofit organizations like Fairplex with no accountability, no oversight, and what investigations have found is that they've paid themselves millions of dollars while operating the loss. These are serious issues that are taking place in our city today. And we really, really need to think twice about our current system, because maybe a civilian oversight may be the answer to these questions.
Ms. Martin. Please hold an applause. Thank you. Ms. Martin?
Yes. This answer is very easy. We have a community life commission that if you read what the description is, it is partially about the police and the community. So it's really important I have tried for the past 4 years to change this commission so it can be a working commission so residents can come in and voice their opinions if they're having a struggle with the police or they felt like they were wrong with their ticket. At least there'd be a body that they could go speak to, and then it would be able to go back to the police department. Unfortunately, our staff doesn't want to go in that direction, but it's already written in the policy of the Community Life Commission, so we have it, we just have to implement it. But I want to thank the police department. They are finest and they are working in our community, doing a great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Rothman, this question is going to start with you and work its all the way back down to Mr. Sandoval. This came from a parent from Garey High School by email. Many of our young people leave Pomona after graduation. Some go on to college, but even if they get their degrees, they do not return. I know this because it happened in my family. There are no jobs for young people. What will you do to create more jobs in Pomona for our young people?
Thank you, Cindy. We've been working on it. The City of Pomona has created a lot of new jobs. We've attracted a lot of good businesses with good paying jobs. Hamilton Sunstrand took over where Orville Sciences was, and prior to that it was Perkin-Elmer. A lot of high-tech companies are going over that way up near Garey and Arrow. Casa Clean is expanding into the medical field on top of what they already do with the surgery center that they just opened. Pomona Valley Hospital has expanded into the new cancer facility and soon to have a trauma center. Those are all good, high-paying jobs for engineers, doctors, physicists, and the like. I think that once the graduates return, and those I would hope would stay and take advantage of the colleges around here, would find that the job market is quite lucrative in the city of Pomona, and that You know, wait a second. For all the years I've been sitting up there as mayor, and she's been hitting the microphone on people as they come to the thing, I finally understand now what it is when you get to the end of your. No, it's fine. I'm starting to get the 2-minute point.
Can you change your mic off though?
Sure. Oh.
Okay, Tony.
I think I'm a living example of that. When I graduated from Cal Poly in engineering, I looked for jobs here in Pomona so I could stay with my family, and there was really none. There's a lot of avenues that we can approach to improve our economy in the city of Pomona, and I strongly believe that technology industry is the way to go. Considering the global economy and our leading innovation technologies, is the only industry that competes on a global scale. One of the ways that I plan to improve this industry is by really going forward towards startup tech companies. There's $53 billion invested by venture capitalists in 2015 alone. So there's a market for this. The way we can do it is by starting technology incubators, which the Cal Poly Pomona has already done. And the city has to do its part so we can be ready for them. And we have to create this incentive program so that we can attract these startup tech companies that are going to create this industry for years to come.
Mr. Arias.
Yes, Pomona is the gateway between the Inland Empire. So as development comes into the city of Pomona, we attract major quality development, and like Mr. Cabello said, tech companies, okay, logistical companies. We bring all these high quality jobs to stay here in the city, okay? We're expanding outward towards the desert. So pretty soon Pomona, if we keep attracting these quality of developments, we are going to turn into pretty much downtown Los Angeles at one point or another. So we will, be able to sustain and keep this youth here by bringing in quality development.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez.
When I was at Cal Poly Pomona, my wife and I were part of the Cal Poly Pomona Summer Youth Employment Training Program. We provided jobs for students during the summer, and that was through some county funding as well as some grant funding. And we enjoyed ourselves. I'm actually blocking. I'm running into some of my former students that were part of that program, and some of them are actually still working at Cal Poly Pomona 20 years later from the summer job that we gave them. So that's pretty cool. We'd like to see that continue. I figure corridor development, beautification, attracting businesses. That will maybe also we have a lot of empty warehouses. Maybe turn those into manufacturing facilities to provide some decent jobs for the kids. We have a lot of partners: Mount SAC, Cal Poly, Western University, Laverne. There's so many jobs around the city, even in the city. The hard part is how do we get the kids to stay here? There's a lot of internships that we could implement. Lots of training. When I was a student at Denisha High School, we did ROP. I said we continue that.
Ms. Andreas Cole.
It's unfortunate that we have,
No, try to back away from when you speak. I think I know.
I'm not going to use it. It's unfortunate that we have no professional jobs for our college graduates.
they seem to just go into other,
areas, Orange County, for instance, or Los Angeles. Why does business pass us by? We have QVC and Amazon that bypassed us and went to Ontario. These are jobs that could have been used for our college graduates. We need manufacturing jobs. We haven't had manufacturing jobs since General Dynamics and Lowe's, and that's been 30, 40 years ago. What we need to do is to invite companies to come and see. Maybe perhaps Chamber of Commerce can do some more advertising, something to promote the city of Pomona. We can get jobs, but it's up to us as council people.
Mr. Cornell.
Hi, well, this may not be the most popular thing to say, but part of the things that I've learned on this campaign is that it's always not that easy to get a business license in Pomona. It's not as easy as it should be. So definitely one of the first things I would like to look at is our business licensing practices. I know there's a little discrepancy with who applies and who actually gets those licenses. So we can start with that. But I also echo what Mr. Quevedo said. I want to turn Pomona into a classroom for our city's institutions. So I mean, Western University, Cal Poly, we have those students who are here. They're creating, number one, they go to school here, they can create opportunities here, and then hopefully after they create them, they can come back and work in the same city. Because they're familiar, they're acquainted with the same programs that they helped establish. And lastly, like what Ms. Cole said, definitely looking at revamping our city's shopping centers. Definitely utilizing code enforcement to go in there, clean them up, and make them attractive for the outside businesses to move in. Because right now, outside businesses will not move into deteriorating shopping centers.
Ms. Lyons.
Well, I sympathize with that parent. I am one also. My children have all moved out of state, and I must say it was not because there were not jobs locally in Pomona and nearby cities, but they can make what they would make here as a teacher, as a professional event coordinator owning her own business. They can make there what they make here, and they can purchase a home for half as much. They can pay 50 cents or $1 less for gasoline. Their car, it costs about the same. So while Pomona can do what it can do to increase jobs, and we have Regional Center, the new beautiful building down in the Walmart shopping center that brought all those jobs in that are professional jobs. Now we have 2 branches of Regional Center here. We have buildings, we have jobs, and we have universities here to feed those jobs. What we are dealing with is manufacturing leaving and our children leaving too. Thank you.
George.
What I will say is this: how can a city survive with the amount of the homeless people and the prostitutes that are patrolling our streets? Those investors have seen all these things, and none of those guys will like to live in the city or have their business in a city with that kind of homeless people. So we have to take care of those homeless people, the prostitutes, and relocate the rehabs to a place, to a secure place out of our commercial areas, so that businesses will come, so that good paying jobs will stay, not moving out of the city. A lot of people, I am a graduate and with master's degree, but I have my job in Hollywood because there's no good paying job here. The homeless are taking over rehab centers and group homes. What can we settle for penny while dollars is at stake? Thank you.
Mr. Torres.
With 1 in 5 residents living below the poverty level and 1 in 5 adolescents not employed or going to college, I understand that not every student will be attending college. So we need to create alternative means and pathways of career, whether it's ROP or helping them get into a skilled workforce. We need to look at what other surrounding cities are doing that have the same demographics and same population as the city of Pomona. For example, the city of Montero has a budget of over $450 million. Versus Pomona, we only have a $98 million budget. And after speaking with the city manager, they tell me it's because Pomona has this startup tax. And every time they have a business come in, they just go straight to Ontario. The other thing is we can never, ever, ever miss out on big regional opportunities such as ARB that wanted to come to Cal Poly Pomona. But this city council and the current member never wrote a letter, never united. Unfortunately, we got outplayed by the city of Riverside, by the mayor, and by their local elected officials. We did everything we could. Those were over 500 jobs, good paying jobs, high-tech jobs that we came to the city of Pomona that we lost. And as your council member, I'd be fighting for those on a regional level.
Thank you, Mr. Torres, but please refrain from making comments about other members. You can state what your opinion is, please. Thank you. Deborah Moore.
Yes, I think I'm going to speak without the mic too. We as the city of Pomona has created an internship program, which I'm really proud of having, and we have outreach to Cal Poly University, Western Youth, and different high schools. So we are trying to get them some training so that when they graduate from college, they have some good experience with city government. The other thing that I'm proud to say that we've done is we worked on the corridor specific plan for the past 8 years, and we finally approved it 2 years ago, which now is a mainstream of development and businesses wanting to come into the city, because it is a streamlined process that will take businesses a quarter amount of time to start in Pomona than it used to. So we are working on business friendly. So thank you so much. That's why we have 1,700 new jobs and $500 million worth of new development. Thank you.
Thank you.
Even in the absence of high-paying jobs in the city of Pomona, we must do everything we can to bring back our young people to our city. Our federal government and state government are providing grants to our students to help develop themselves. I think we need to go more intentional about bringing those students back. I could imagine an opportunity at the Fairplex Conference Center, the Sheraton Fairplex Conference Center, to bring back those young people and to celebrate them when they graduate and connect them to the opportunities that are our city, our civic organizations, our realtors who perhaps maybe these young people would like to buy a home as part of the Pomona First-Time Homebuyers Program. That's number one. Number two is that we need to be cooperating and collaborating regionally. We had the opportunity to bring the Air Resources Facility to Pomona, and the reason it didn't happen, it was really clear, is that the city of Riverside worked collaboratively with UC Riverside, and not only UC Riverside, but also the county of San Bernardino. We were not at the table, and I as mayor will be at the regional table discussing these issues.
Thank you. Okay, Hector, Tony, this question's going to be starting with you. Pomona has a large immigrant population. How do you propose developing stronger ties with that segment of the community and involving them in part of Pomona?
Well, that's been my personal experience. My parents were immigrants here themselves, don't speak fluent English, but they understand it very well. I think the first step is to really identify the community leaders that are part of this subculture within our city. I mean, there's many of them who are willing and want to be part of this community, but maybe feel disenfranchised because there's not a connection because of the language barrier. But there's plenty of people who are willing to take that role in establishing some type of interpretation or to be a segue between the community and the city departments. I personally don't mind doing that. I'm bilingual, and I think that's the way to go.
Mr. Arias.
It's as simple as bridging the language barrier. My parents were immigrants as well, but whenever we went somewhere, they're like, "Mijo, please translate. Can you help me?" You know, and here you go. You know, I was 10, 11, whatever age I was, and there I go and translate for my parents. Okay, because what? It's a language barrier. I think that is the key step on helping bridge that gap. And as a council member, I am willing to do that. You know, bridge this gap. Whatever, if anything we put out as a council member or the city hall, you know, we can have that same communication go out in Spanish. You know, because it bridges that language barrier. I think bridging that language barrier with our community is the key step to bridging that disconnect.
Thank you. Mr. Gonzalez.
With me, it's not a theory. I'm actually already doing it. I work with the Latino Roundtable, directly and indirectly with Pomona Habla. We took on the toughest challenges that the immigrant population in Pomona was already dealing with. My family, as some of the other candidates here, my family also is an immigrant family. Everybody is, unless you're Native American in here, everybody is an immigrant family, and other than Native American. So my family came as braceros, farm workers, and I don't just acknowledge that they were immigrants. For 23 years, I've been advocating for them. I protested Prop 187, Prop 21, 227, every single one of those things. And I'm still at my children's elementary school and schools. I'm with the parent leads, with the PTOs, PTAs, the different community groups, the Cesar Chavez pilgrimage. I'm already doing it. So these guys can theorize all they want, but I'm already doing it.
or something else cool. Do you want to try it with the mic?
You know, even when it's off, it turns on.
You know, some people just have that electric charisma about them.
Being in Pomona all my life, and me being, from the ancestry of Chihuahuas ago, I did have the understanding when I worked with Pomona Unified School District as a clinical nurse, and I would see the families come in, and they did have a language barrier. But you know what? Language barriers can be broken. We can develop different resources for these people. The immigration ties are important to the city of Pomona. We have children who are, and I have been in the classrooms this year, where I have taught these children how to read. The language barrier is no fault of the immigration people. It is something that has to be met and faced, and we need to have resources for these people who cannot speak the English language. It does deter them from getting jobs.
Mr. Cordova.
I don't believe the problem is so much language as those people and those populations recognizing that there is selective representation in our city and that the resources aren't making their way to their neighborhoods. I don't think it's a language issue. Once those people start to see their council person on that chamber equally representing their needs just as much as the people that may live in the good parts of our city, I think they'll seek more engagement in our city. They'll seek it out because, like I said, I've walked through all of our city's neighborhoods and I've talked to so many people, and a lot of them didn't speak English, but they knew. But I can see on their voting records that they voted every time. They probably knew about more what was going on in their neighborhood than what I was and what everyone on this council chamber knows what's going on in their neighborhoods. So, like I said, collaborative representation and inclusive representation, they're tenets of my campaign, and as soon as they start to see their voices heard on this council chamber, they will participate.
Ms. Lance.
Well, I think I am very inclusive with the immigrant community. I represent a number of Spanish-speaking individuals, many of them. I actually do have one of the neighborhood watch meetings that is conducted entirely in Spanish. And while I am not fluent in Spanish by any means, I can get by. My business cards are both in Spanish and in English. And all of the neighborhood watch invitations to all of the neighborhood watch groups are written in both Spanish and in English. One community in particular that felt very disenfranchised approached me about the medical marijuana dispensary nearby. And by meeting collaboratively with the Spanish-speaking department heads and that neighborhood watch group, we developed 10 blocks of alley lights that the city provided. We provided sewer improvements in that particular neighborhood, and the marijuana dispensary was closed. Thank you.
George.
One of the major reasons why I'm running for the city council is to promote diversity and improve togetherness. I myself is a victim I'm an immigrant and a victim of that immigrant discrimination. I put it that way because after my first degree, I came to City Hall here. I applied for a job, I applied for volunteer, but I didn't get a job. Even the volunteer, they promised me to call me, nobody calls me. Some of my mates, some of my students, they say that they got a job here, they are volunteers. So I believe there's a lot to do that language barrier. Just to promote diversity, have patience with all those people. Try to work together with them, listen and obey, and at least cooperate with them. That is one of the major reasons why I am going for this council, to promote diversity in the City Hall. Thank you.
Mr. Torres.
I'm very proud to be the son of a woman who immigrated from Guatemala and became a citizen. And she is a classic example of what that community can be when they're given resources and the ability to thrive. What we really need to do is make outreach to this community. They're not going to come to us. They work the jobs that no one wants to work. They work 12, 14-hour shifts. We need to make outreach to them and make them feel a part of the city. If we include them into society and we help them assimilate, they will be team players, and everybody here will see the contribution that they have given to the city. I'm proud to have worked with a number of different of these individuals. I'm proud to have supported a lot of their items within the state. As a council member, I will be open and accessible to whatever their needs and concerns to help bridge this gap between our citizens and this population. Thank you.
Yes, since I was elected, I've held over 30 community meetings from the east side to the west side, and yes, some were in bilingual. And I'm proud to say we've brought the community together. I want to thank Latino Roundtable, Pomona Economic Opportunity Center, Latino Chamber of Commerce, the promoters, and Pomona Unified School District Parent League for bringing our barriers together too, because with all of these different groups, we are not separate anymore. Thank you for helping out, because these type of groups have made a difference for our families and children. So we are doing a good job working with these partners. Thank you so much.
Mr. Sandoval.
Why don't we start by listening to them and asking them what they want and they need. And I think the way to start is by looking at the organizations that already exist. I was at a meeting the other day where primarily mothers, but not exclusively. Let's look to PUSD. They're doing an outstanding job of meeting with mothers, and they do it at a time that's accessible to mothers and fathers. We need to look to them. Also, the Latina Roundtable. We need to, there are organizations that already exist that have a strong connection to the immigrant community. The Pomona Economic Opportunity Center. And what I will say is that, having spoken to our very diverse community, all of us want very similar things. We want good schools, we want safe parks, we want to make sure that when our children grow up in this community, that they're going to be taken care of. And we need to do this in a collaborative sense, but we need to listen to all the members of our community, particularly our immigrant community.
Mr. Rothman.
Thank you. The City of Pomona sponsors events. We just had at Washington Park, Mexican Independence Day. It was a blast. The Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, we just had over at the Sean Diamond Center, the Independence Day Festival. Everybody had a great time. I think part of it is being where you're supposed to be and showing people that you're there and that you care. I'm a first-generation American. I go to where I need to go for all the people that are in the City of Pomona. We sponsor also the Day Labor Center. That was the City of Pomona sponsored beginning. And we sponsor the Latino Roundtable when they have events also. So the city's presence is where it needs to be, and we're always there to help people of the immigrant communities throughout the City of Pomona.
This question will go to you, Mr. Arias. Our community is predominantly a working class community of color, but it is being overburdened by toxins and pollution. What can you do to change this?
As a planning commissioner, we've heard, we've had hearings regarding these ordinances and try to, crack down on businesses that are violating current city codes. So I would definitely urge that ordinance so we can further regulate these businesses that are not following current procedures. So, and give code enforcement the resources they need to enforce the current city codes regarding that.
There's a high concentration of recycling facilities and pretty much trash facilities in the southeast part of Pomona. I know that's addressed in Clean and Green ordinance update. We just have to make sure that every city district gets its fair share of the burden, not just pick on the south side. That's a time-old story and it needs to stop. Having said that, yes, the Clean and Green code enforcement, the ordinance update needs to be dealt with. It's been pushed on far too long. As Candidate Arias mentioned, code enforcement, we can't regulate on the facilities if nobody's checking in on them. So, I don't like that we have a higher concentration of illness of children in Southeast Pomona. We're not getting that in other parts of Pomona, so we need to stop that.
Mayor's call.
Yeah, being a nurse, I am concerned regarding this type of issue, the toxin and the pollution that goes throughout our city. I think one of the things that we need to consider is how close are these facilities to our residents and to the schools. I think they have to be approximately 1,000 feet away, and also they have to go by specific rules and policies. I think that ordinances should be created to protect the society. Regarding children with asthmatic conditions that I deal with on a daily basis, we have hundreds of children who are asthmatic. This does affect the lung capacity. And also for the residents and the senior citizens who have respiratory problems, this is an issue for them. It's an issue for the workers. It's an issue for everyone in the city of Pomona. I think something has to be done about it. These ordinances
I actually had an opportunity as well to speak with representatives from Clean and Green, and we just kind of joked that, how do you know when there is a serious pollution violation going on in our city? And unfortunately, you can see with your own eyes, you don't have to be trained in it. So I definitely do support the regulations that they did propose, but I also did have some concerns that they treated all the facilities as one. And recyclers and waste handlers, and there's some distinguishing things that differentiate themselves from each other. So that was the only problem I did have, but I definitely do acknowledge that we have concentrated them in a vulnerable neighborhood, in a vulnerable district, to be honest. So I would definitely look into, as councilman, to definitely push forward their proposal. I know it's been stalled lately. It just came off of a moratorium. So it's something that if I got elected, that I definitely would have to look into more.
Well, I would definitely increase the code enforcement, and we actually did that by having a code enforcement person that is assigned to do that inspection exclusively for that type of business. Not just in that district, but for waste and recycling businesses throughout the city. And then I would definitely finalize and bring forward the ordinance. I do believe there are some distinctions between the types of recycling and waste businesses, but they aren't things that can't be addressed. And I think we have waited too long. I think it has been defined and adequately, and I think it's time to move forward with it. And the third thing is that I would strongly support a ban of any new types of those businesses. I am a firm believer we need to take care of our own waste, our own recycling, and it is a legitimate business for businesses that have been here and doing business, but we can ban any new.
George.
Well, Pomona is the only city that I've seen that have that kind of facility in residential areas and commercial areas. I have traveled to other parts of this country and other parts of the states. Everything is zoned. So I don't see the reason why we can have such a thing in the middle of residential area or commercial area. So as a city council, I will try as much as I can to make sure that the city hall is doing everything they can do about zoning, about permitting and licensing, to make sure that residential area is not close to those people, or those people are not close to residential area. So we have to do something about it because it's getting out of hand. A lot of people are complaining about it. Some people called me the other day and said, what can we do about it? I said, vote for me. When I get the city council, and I'll have something to say.
Well, first things first, as a planning commissioner, I'm proud to say, let my decision on my record on these items speak for itself. And this is definitely a regional issue that is not going to be solved by Pomona. Right now, we have LA and San Francisco that are sucking up our transportation dollars. We're competing for scraps. So what we have to do is fight for these dollars and bring in alternative means of transportation. This is not only going to create jobs, but it's going to reduce the amount of pollution in our area. The other item that I want people to know about is Pomona is an economic hub for the trucking industry. We have 2 major trucking companies on Pomona Boulevard and Reservoir. 5 major freeways in the city of Pomona. They come here because of our strategic location. What we have to do is find an equilibrium point between the environment and being pro-business. This can't be accomplished if we're holding ourselves to a higher standard, and most of the pollution is coming from the ports of Long Beach because they're not regulating their own cities. But we're trying to hold ourselves to a higher standard. What we need to do is hold everybody to that standard.
Thank you, Ms. Martin.
Yes. I'm on the same level as Ms. Lance on her answers, and we have been working on an ordinance to clean up our commercial zone areas that are heavily polluted. We're just probably a month or 2 away, and I believe the ordinance will be ready to be approved. When it comes to code enforcement, we still don't have enough. If we can afford somehow to find more code enforcement, it will really make the biggest difference to the commercial zone areas. I've been working with Clean and Green for the past 4 years. I'm proud to say I'm in support of all their good work. Thank you so much.
Mr. Sandoval.
I am a board member of Clean and Green Pomona. We were responsible for the elimination of diesel buses that we requested from the Pomona Unified School District. I was endorsed by the Los Angeles League of Conservation Voters, and I was also the chair of the Waste and Recycling Committee Task Force. And the answer is really simple. The ordinance is before the City Council, and the Council had the opportunity to review our ordinance and make recommendations on what needed to be changed. And it still continues to sit at our City Council. It has not been brought to vote. And what the ordinance would do would potentially reduce the number of waste and recycling businesses down to a certain number or a complete ban until we begin to address the issues of our current businesses. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is if we increase code enforcement and increasing the operational standards of our current businesses.
Mr. Rothman.
The city council created the board that we're all talking about. The appointments were made by the city council. It wasn't created by a group of people. The city appointed the people and we started the board. We're working on ordinances to govern it. But under my leadership, there's been a lot of time, but actions speak louder than words. We have CNG buses. We have the city of Pomona gave up all of our diesel trucks for the trash trucks and the recycling trucks. Everything runs on CNG. The school district's been working with us to help get rid of some of their diesel buses. We also have CNG for our heavy equipment and our machinery that we use. The city of Pomona was first to get the electric bus, the Ecoliner from Foothill Transit, working in partnership with them through our regional representation, and that's putting up your money where your mouth is.
Mr. Covado.
Yeah, when the city's citizens' health and safety is put in jeopardy, in order to hold these kind of companies accountable, standard practices and procedures must be put in place. So it almost makes no sense to not have this ordinance passed and put in place so that we can regulate these type of businesses. Now, for my personality, I'm really business oriented, and I'm always concerned about the economic impact that it's going to have in our city. And so I've taken a chance to look at the ordinance, and I think that it's a very fair one in the way that it's not impacting the current existing businesses and the way to shovel them out, but it really proposes to reduce the amount of these recycling centers and these transfer stations in our city, and I think that that's the way to go. But the ordinance must pass, and by all means, I support it 100%.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got about 8 questions on homelessness, so that's obviously important to the community. I'm going to try to make this just as broad as I can. And we're going to start with Mr. Gonzalez. What are your plans for the homelessness, and do you believe in community outreach to other communities in our area?
That's the question I was looking forward to. When it comes to the homeless issue, whether it's an incumbent or a challenger, I'm pretty much the only one that's there for this. When the city was lagging on choosing Senate Bill 2 sites, we were in violation by like 7 years, not picking a permanent location for homeless shelter. Myself and some concerned individuals formed a lobby, and we helped push for the permanent site on East Mission. And I did one further and joined that board, the Landscape Homeless Shelter for Men. So we do need to take the near surrounding cities into account, because a lot of those homeless are not from Pomona. They're from surrounding cities and they get dropped off here or what have you, but they're not from Pomona. So we need to not pass the buck, but deal with them in a humane manner that is not interfering with the quality of life of Pomona residents.
Thank you, Ms. Alvarez Cole.
Well, first of all, in order to help out with the homeless situation, you have to have the first housing. Housing first, and then you can deal with their problems. Basically, they have dual diagnosis. They're mentally ill. 30% of our homeless have mental problems. We need to address these problems. You find out their diagnosis, you keep them on a routine medication. When you have a homeless situation, you need to have some facility, such as 1390 East Mission, that has been fighting 3 years to get this off the ground. I feel that when you have a facility where you can house the homeless people, you can go ahead and deal with them with a dual diagnosis, the medical treatment that they need, and then get them resources, okay? This is something that has been going on since the 1980s. I remember in the 1980s when there was only a handful of homeless people in this city. Now we have hundreds of them. Why? Because it has been totally ignored.
So 65% of the homeless people that are in Pomona actually do come from Pomona. We have a 21% poverty rate, but our city does do a really good job of servicing 67%. So what we're left with on our streets are actually those that do come from the outside. So my strategy, since we do a good job of taking care of those that come from here, is to hold other cities accountable, to hold the region accountable, and to also hold the county accountable. We have 15% of the population on our street do have a felony record. They get dropped off at the Greyhound station. Why does that happen to Pomona? The homeless lawsuit, we were kind of taken by that homeless lawsuit. We have a lot of different hands in the mix, and a lot of the people that do create Pomona's homeless policies come from outside of our city. They come from LA, they come from Claremont, they come from Laverne. Right now, the city of Pomona does need to take care of the 21% who do live in poverty from our own city. We need to take care of our own citizens, and only after that can we begin to absorb the homeless population that comes from outside.
Well, I was one of the beginners of the Homeless Care Coalition about over 10 years ago, when the homeless people that were serving our community weren't working with each other. And another council member and I bought them breakfast every month until we got that group up to about 15 or 20 people that were actually exchanging ideas. I do disagree with Mr. Cordova. We do not take a good care of our own homeless. 65% of the homeless that are here are connected to Pomona. And one of the challenges we have is that when a possible location comes up, we're all for it as long as it isn't near us. And we can't get 500 people off the streets if nobody wants them near where they are. Because this city may be 25 square miles, but there are people living all around. Thank you.
George.
Every day you see no homeless people. Why? The question you have to ask yourself is, what is the why? Is the increase? Because Pomona is the only city in the Inland Empire that has homeless coordinators. And they are disturbing some citizens asking for help or contribution to help all these homeless. These have encouraged them to go and invite other homeless from other cities because Pomona have created a conducive environment for them. This have to stop. We have to put something on it. We have to call other cities to come and take care of their homeless veterans. Pomona does not have that money. We are not rich. That Claremont, Montclair, Laval, or San Dimas. Why should we waste the resources that we're supposed to take care of our city in taking care of other people's problems or issues? Thank you.
Mr. Charles.
Well, first things first, in order to address the homeless issue, I would show up to the meeting and actually vote. Because on Monday, what the city council did was give the city manager full authority to allow the homeless to occupy our parks, city hall, and our public streets. And District 6 had no vote on this issue.
But what will you do?
What I would do, and what I've already done, is working with our legislator. We've amended a bill that will give the city the first right to purchase the armory. And whether you want to create a homeless shelter or not, Pomona needs to hurry up and buy this armory, because if they don't, the County of Los Angeles is going to dump Skid Row in the city. So we have to take care of this issue, and we have to take care of it fast. And the other issue is we have so much resources, the hospital, Tri-City Mental. Let's acquire this property and connect them with the resources. Thank you.
Ms. Martin.
Yes. Well, first of all, the state and Senator Davis has said that they have signed the authorization that it's up for sale, and we have first rights to purchase it if we have the funding. County has been working tirelessly with the city of Pomona, with Public Police's office, coming up with solutions. But first things first, funding. We have to have funding to give housing. And so it's very important to work with all these leaders in our state, and like my opponent said, I agree with you on that. The other thing that I do want to say is that I want to thank the churches out here for helping our homeless and feeding them and encouraging them, because we have so much love out here in our community with churches. And I want to thank every single one of you that's in the audience that has participated with that. With that said, we have our homeless outreach.
Mr. Sandoval.
This critical issue is rooted in what I would call an absence of leadership. This is not a Pomona problem. This is a regional problem. This is a national problem. And as mayor, I will be present at regional meetings. I will attend those regional meetings, and I will make sure that when decisions ultimately get made about where we're going to ultimately house our homeless, that it's going to be shared equally amongst all the cities in Los Angeles County. It should not just fall on the city of Pomona. So we'll start there. But the reality is we know what the solution is. It's called Housing First. People need housing, and they need support services. But we need to fight our mayor.
No. What will you do?
Right. I will fight for the dollars that we need to do to bring housing first, not just in Pomona, but regionally. And look at what other cities are doing, like, for example, what's going on in San Antonio and also Salt Lake City. That's what I would do.
Thank you. Mr. Ruffin.
First of all, nobody should be out on the street. City of Pomona approved from AmCal Home Builders veterans housing for homeless vets right here on Main Street. And second, on the vacant lot over there, we're going to break ground on a multi-unit complex and get our veterans off the street. Working with Shield of Faith, Tri-City Mental Hospital, the City of Pomona are sponsoring also. We have built on Holt Avenue, where one of the trailer parks is near St. Joseph's, an area to get people out the street who have mental issues and that were out on the street. City of Pomona has been lobbying myself, the state of California, and I'm sure you all read the newspaper, to get the armory back into the city of Pomona's hands so we could put our people that are on the street into the armory so they don't have to sleep out on the street, they have a place to live.
Mr. Cavado.
You know, like Tim said, this problem is not just unique to Pomona, it's a regional one. And we need to be proactive as a city council so we can bring up these discussions with the LA County and all these regional services that are trying to really go after this complex problem that it's not really easy to solve. I mean, the housing first is a very concept that's been proven in other cities like Salt Lake City, and they've shown a lot of progress, and I think that that's important that we implement, and I am in support of acquiring the armory so that we can establish that for them. One thing that I am concerned is about Pomona becoming the haven for social services that simply enable the subculture of the homeless that just don't want any help and want to continue these problems. So I'd like to see a coordinated effort between the social services that already exist so that we can implement some ways in which we can prevent from just simply free-handedly enable these type of characters. And that's what I would intend to do as a city council, be part of that.
Mr. Arias.
Yes, the importance of creating a dialogue between other cities to help us with this issue. As every single one of the candidates has stated tonight, this is a regional issue. It's not just the city of Pomona. Continue to take the right steps. SB2 is a step in that right direction. Okay? The acquisition of the armory is another step in the right direction. Okay? The Veterans Housing Project is another step in the right direction. We need to continue to take these steps forward, but we need to make sure the steps get taken, and make sure our city council and we just continue to move forward with this. Everyone here recognizes the issue. We need to just continue to forward the path to fixing the homelessness. It's not going to be an overnight issue, but we are definitely getting there.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hate to have to do this, but this is going to be our final question. Look at all these questions that did not get asked. You clearly have to figure out a way that you can make an exchange with these candidates. We don't want to be here till midnight. We don't have the building till midnight. So I apologize that all of your questions are not going to be addressed tonight. But we are going to ask one more question before the candidates get to talk to you one more time. We're going to start with you, Ms. Cole. What is the most important issue facing Pomona in your opinion, and what do you propose to fix it?
I think right now that the homeless issue is preventing us from doing a lot of progress. Number one, if you want to have business in Pomona, we have to take care of the homeless first. How is a business going to come into the city of Pomona, and yet they see the outcome and the degree of homelessness? I've been told that many businesses want to come to Pomona, but when they see the people lying in front of these businesses or in the alleys or in a place where they want to create their own business, they say no, I'd rather go somewhere else. This is something that has to be handled first. We need to deal with the SB2 zoning law that came out in effect in 2008. We ignored that law for 8 years. We need to start doing something in regards to the rezoning. 1390 East Mission is the beginning of the homeless success. If we can help this person, Ron Williams, we can do a lot for the city.
Mr. Cordova.
With a degree in criminology, obviously my first priority would be crime. I think that's where our city's stigma stems from. There's definitely a lot more property crime. Although we did reduce our amount of violent crime, we saw number 8 in the country. So there's a lot we can do there. That's what stops a lot of our businesses from coming in. A lot of business owners have gotten broken into multiple times. Some restaurants have been robbed 5 times in a couple months. So I think that's what we need to start to address as our city's crime, because that affects our residents. The only reason that homelessness did get bumped down is because as a result of the recent lawsuit, our hands are tied for the meantime. So I think crime definitely is the #1 priority. Forced forfeiture to go after drug dens that are known by the city. That could also help contribute resources to the police department. Definitely, there's a state program that allows police officers to live in the city. Part of those forced forfeiture homes, we can put them in our neighborhoods. That reinforces the community policing posture.
Thank you. Ms. Lyons.
Well, I agree that homelessness is a major problem. I agree that crime is a major problem. I agree with not having enough code enforcement to deal with the trash and recycling systems is a problem. But the basic problem that the city faces is financial stability. Because if we were financially stable, if we could increase our revenues so that they could accommodate the additional police officers that a city our size deserves, the code enforcement that the businesses and the residents deserve, and the other services that Parks and Recreation maintenance, I can go on and on with the things that you know about every day that our city is lacking. And it's a matter of financial stability, and I don't have a solution for that. Thank you.
George.
So me, I believe that the major problem in Pomona is the homeless issue. And again, the city are not doing well enough by giving a lot of license and permits to people that are having rehab in the city. Because the more rehabilitation center we have in the city, the more homeless are pumping into the city. The more ESCOM and the rest of them are pumping into the city, creating safety concern and also scaring away good paying jobs. How can the city have good revenue if we did not have good companies? When we have a good companies, good paying jobs, good industries in the city can have money to take care of them. But we are scaring all these jobs away by choosing to, by taking the part of penny, by giving permits and licenses to all these rehabs, and scare away better industries and better jobs. You know, attracting homeless people, different kind of characters.
Mr. Torres.
We have a lot of issues in the city of Pomona with jobs, with the economy, with public safety, with educational resources that we're lacking. But perhaps the greatest issue that the city of Pomona is facing and is making major articles on a national and a statewide level is the financial waste and lack of accountability, waste and fraud and abuse taking place by these wealthy nonprofit organizations in the city of Pomona. $10 million of redevelopment and housing money given to the Fairplex without any accountability, any oversight. And what we hear in the LA Times from the city council is the Fair Association owes the people of Pomona nothing. Those are the comments I want you to think about. And when we look at these things here, and we look at surrounding cities, they have all the things that we should have. And when people think of Pomona, they heard about it, but they heard about what happened with the waste, the fraud, and abuse. They're comparing it to a Bell, the city of Bell. The homeless issue made national headlines. We gotta change the perception of Pomona and make people proud of their city.
Ms. Martin.
Yes, I just want to address about the Fairplex. That decision was made back in 2006. That's not our council right now. And Mayor Torres was in charge and voted for it at that point.
Ms. Martin, what is the issue for Faith Pomona and what will you do about it?
So with that said,
ladies and gentlemen.
The homeless, crime, and our infrastructure, roads are falling apart. How do we fix it all when our budget is falling apart? We need grants, and we need more grants. That's what we need to be able to fix all of those things. How do we do it? Hire a grant writer full-time. It will pay for itself. I've been trying for 4 years, and that's what I'll do if I get reelected. Thank you.
Mr. Sandoval, please, Mr. Sandoval.
All of these are important issues, whether it's crime, whether it's issues of the homelessness or code enforcement. I think the central issue that Pomona faces is a question of leadership. Is that we need leadership that is addressing these issues. And so I will be real specific on what those are. In order for us to be able to address the real social challenges of our city, we have to address the question of economic development. We must increase economic development in order to support our working families. I believe that Pomona is yet to find its economic engine. Pre-World War II was agriculture, post-World War II was General Dynamics. We do not know today what that economic engine is. I will convene
I will convene academics, I will convene business leaders, I will convene community leaders to begin to think about how we build what I call the health and wellness corridor so that we can begin to bring in the revenue in order to begin to address some of these very real challenges.
Thank you, Mr. Rothbard.
I think the real problem right now in the city of Pomona is not only a homeless problem, which grips the entire county of Los Angeles, the city is taking a lot of great strides in solving those problems. We're also moving into an area where our budget has been working out quite well, and the city's been making money by attracting businesses and more development. I think as we develop more along the Garey corridor, businesses and developers have taken a keen interest into it. Home building is up in the city of Pomona. The old Xerox plant is almost fully developed, and they'll keep building over there. As jobs come into the city of Pomona and people are working, the city coffers start filling up with money, and that gets us into a position where we can solve more problems. We need to keep attracting. You know what, the problem right now that I think the major concern is.
What? Hold that thought.
Is that button?
Mr. Colado.
I think the biggest issue that Pomona is facing is a revenue problem. If we want to increase our services, the police department, or within our infrastructure, it's going to take money to do that. I've explored the options of Pomona becoming a tech city. And this isn't a new idea, and I know the question is, it sounds like a great idea, but how practical is it? And that's the question that I've asked myself, and I've researched and found that there are 5 key elements that a city must possess in order to make that possible. And we have all 5 of those key elements. It's a practical and viable solution, and I've taken steps to identify what the city can do so we can head in that direction. We have the talent and workforce to provide it. There's thousands of dollars being wasted by grants that the city is not following through the SBIR, through the CDA, and Microsoft and Google programs are being implemented right now, and we're not following them. And as a city council, I intend to shift that focus from the city so that we can bring the tech industry here.
Mr. Arias, sorry. I knew I was going to do it once tonight.
Well, I think balancing the budget and increasing the general fund. And how do we do that? We got to take advantage of Pomona's logistical location. We have 5 major freeways. We have an airport right next door to us. We need to be in that mix. We need to be making some of the money that Ontario is making. Like one of the previous candidates said, they have a $400 million budget in Ontario. We only have a $98 million budget. We need to be taking advantage of that. There's another additional $300 million that's going away right next door to us. We need to tap into that.
Thank you. Mr. Gonzalez, it's your turn finally now.
So I think it is a problem for leadership. I'm not saying it's all of the council, but some of them need to go. You decide.
But what do you think is the greatest? Okay, go ahead.
Leadership. That's what I'm saying. Democracy. You guys vote, you decide, get them out, and then we move the city forward. As far as okay, it's homeless and sex trafficking. Not prostitution, sex trafficking. Some of the girls are under 18, they were victims. Our corridors need to be beautified, we need more jobs, corporate and local, based. We need to revisit the fees, revisit those permits. We have to be competitive with Montclair. They got San Bernardino County fees, not LA County fees. We need to develop our tourism. We have the remains of 2 ghost towns in the city, Rancho San Jose and Stateville. We're not even looking into it. Some cities, a percentage of their budget is tourism, and we're not even tapping into that at all. And we definitely need to develop, we talk about fixing sidewalks and whatnot. No, we need to finish sidewalks. I think like 98% of our sidewalks in West Pomona haven't even been finished.
Ladies and gentlemen, These candidates have answered as many questions as we can get to them. They have done a great job. This is very difficult to come up with an answer within 1 minute on a question you have no idea what it's going to be. I'm very proud of them. Are you? Let's hear it. As I promised you, you're going to get one more chance, candidates, to sell yourself to this audience. We're going to do the 1 minute closing statements, and we will begin in reverse order. Ms. Martin, please.
Yes, I just want to thank everyone for the support for the past 4 years, and I will continue the momentum of collaborating with all our partners in our city, working on safety, beautifying our city, and bringing our school district closer together with this as City Hall. I think that's a very important component. I'm proud to say that we've been able to pave many corridors this past year. Garey, Foothill, San Antonio, I brought in the pilot program for the safety for pedestrians in front of schools. I've taken care of 5 schools in our district, and I'm telling you, it has made a difference in the safety for our children. I want to thank everybody tonight and looking forward for 4 more years of my promise to make Pomona a better place. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
First things first, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you, showcase myself, and introduce you to my family. I'm very happy that there was a meeting today. What I hope that you would understand is that the council wants you to think that, and the current representative, that everything's okay, that they're creating jobs, that they're solving problems, but when you get into your car and you drive home, just look at what's happening. And if you want someone that is going to not do anything, is not going to show up to the vote on homelessness, that's going to champion raves that brought in death, drugs, 49 overdoses, 250 arrests, costly lawsuits that are depleting our city's reserve, and embarrass our city on a national and statewide level, and vote for them. But if you want change, vote for me. Thank you.
Okay, George. Okay, and Wedge A.
I thank everyone, and I thank the coordinators and the moderators for this wonderful opportunity. As you can see, that the 4 years is already wasted, and we don't want to waste another 4 years. We need a new leadership for better future of Pomona. Because if you look around, the homeless are increased, the whole problem are increasing, they are creating jobs. The job they are creating is homeless coordinators. Can you tell me that's not a job? They're creating jobs, homeless coordinators. So we need a new leadership. Vote for me and support me, because I have a lot of things, in place. I have a lot of plans to work with the new leaders to make things change and to work in Pomona, to bring back the jobs, promote diversity and help our youth, bring them together and give them the best in life. Thank you.
Ms. Paula Lance.
Well, we've heard a lot of questions here tonight, and I think we've all done our best to answer them. Now it's up to you to decide whose answers are the most accurate and the most realistic. I listen to residents and help them work with the city to improve their neighborhoods. I attend the monthly neighborhood watch meetings in my district, which are on Indian Hill, on North San Antonio, and on Garfield, near Garfield Park. So they are all over my district. I actively participate in Neighbor Next Door and other social media outlets that are important to Pomona residents. These are not promises for the future. This is what I do. I am accessible by email, phone, or text. I represent the city at regional meetings, and I'm seen regularly at events and activities in every part of this city. My unique business cards are a bookmark with a poem on one side and my contact information on the other. The last line of that poem is,
So each and every day I go out and campaign. I meet so many different people across the city, all kinds of different backgrounds. every kind of different Pomona experience that you can ever imagine. And what those people need is a partner. They don't need a politician, and they don't need someone who's disconnected. They need someone who's going to be visible, accessible in the community, and I want to be that person. So like I said in a previous answer, I don't claim to have all the answers. What I can promise you is I'm going to answer everything with what should be done and what can be done, instead of ignoring your interests or telling you what isn't being done. Because what isn't being done isn't going to solve the problems on our city streets.
Thank you. Ms. Elizabeth Cole.
In conclusion, leadership cannot be any more in the back burner. We have put this leadership on the back burner. To bring back Pomona, it is a challenging position. We need to make master strategies, bringing back revenue, and we have to interest new companies to bring their businesses to Pomona. Reaching out to the people is essential and a valuable thing for our constituents. It is necessary to bring our vision to the highest level, and when we reach out and get positive results. We are all equal in this endeavor. We want the very same thing, or I would not be running for the 4th district, and you would not be here listening to our
Mr. Ramiro, Gonzalez.
Yeah, that's my middle name, it's confusing. Okay, so for all the questions that didn't get answered, www.welcometopomona.com, let me know, I'll answer them. It's been a pleasure to share a bit about me and on my platform. And I have to say, don't forget, 36 years living in District 1, 23 years of volunteer service, sitting on 9, maybe 10 now, 9 different city, community, and nonprofit boards. Safety. Why? Because I'm a teacher, I'm a parent. So we have to do something about that, the crosswalks and whatnot. I think that we have to make sure we don't outsource anymore. I'm a friend to labor. We can't make that mistake over and over and keep outsourcing. We're not getting the same quality. I think we've seen the city die, and we've seen it resurrect, and we have to elect qualified candidates, not vaguely qualified candidates, make sure that we don't ruin the progress.
Once again, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank our host this evening. Taking part of this forum has been really exciting. We addressed and discussed key issues in our city, and I'm willing and ready and able to move Pomona forward as a city council member for District 1. Thank you for taking the time to listen tonight. To my fellow candidates, for sharing your thoughts, thank you. I am humbled to be here, and I ask for your vote on November 8th. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you.
Mr. Hector Tony Cuvado.
I think our city struggles with just really imagining the possibilities. We have to change our mindset. We have to think big. You know, I just recently ran to a friend of mine who told me a story about Marshall Middle School. Their class assignment was in 6th grade to take a plant home and grow it. And so he was excited, so he researched the optimal amount of light that it required. And it so happened that in the balcony of his house, the space opening on top was just the right size to allow that optimal amount of light. And it happened, he grew the biggest plant in the class by a large margin. So much so, it's a true story, that the teacher ended up failing him because she didn't believe that he indeed grew that plant. She thought that that plant belonged to his older brother who took her class a year before. Look, we have to imagine possibilities for when the key elements and the right conditions are set, we have huge potential for economic growth. And I don't think there's a stronger candidate to shed light on it. Thank you.
Mr. Elliott Rothman.
Thank you all for attending the meeting tonight. I think the forum went over very well. A lot of good ideas going back and forth, a lot of good questions. our host, and all the co-sponsors. You did a great job. Please vote on November 8th. Please vote to re-elect me as mayor of Pomona. I'm endorsed by the local Pomona Employees Teamsters Union, Congresswoman Norma Torres, my colleagues, Councilmember Gina Escobar, and Councilmember Adriana Robledo. Please visit my website on the World Wide Web, rothmanforpomona.com. When you go home tonight, look around. Stability in my office brought a lot of development to the city. We're on a building that's hard to keep pace with for all the things we're doing. Look at all the new highways and all the roadways that have been paved. Thank you all, and have a great evening.
Again, I want to thank the organizers for putting on this event. I'm incredibly hopeful for the future of Pomona. When I look out in the audience and I see the young people who went to our schools, some of them are now in college, and some of them have graduated from college and are now back. I'm incredibly hopeful. But I think Pomona, at this moment, needs new leadership. And it needs the type of leadership that really values honesty, values integrity, values community input and engagement. And one of the very first things I'm going to do when I get elected as mayor is I'm going to work with our city council, and I'm going to go out to every community and share with the community exactly how we spend our dollars. And I'm going to ask them, this is how we spend our dollars, this is where we're at, this is where we'd like to go, but I want to get their input. And I want to involve them in beginning to solve some of the very real problems that we face as a community.
Thank you all for coming this evening. I want to thank the City of Pomona and all my volunteers tonight. You did a great job. And I'm thanking the interpreter as well. Thank you. One second. Wait a minute. I'm not done with you. Candidates, the League of Women Voters of the Claremont Area, the NAACP of the Pomona Valley, and the Latina Roundtable, thank you all for your service to your community. And we all wish you the best of luck on November 8th. And ladies and gentlemen, November 8th only means something if you vote. Please vote. Thank you all for coming.